Hey everybody, I'm Spencer Thomason for Project Southwest, and welcome to Get to Know Your Neighbor, the show where I sit down and talk to interesting and influential people from all around Southwest Virginia. Today I'll be talking to Frank Kilgore, a lawyer based out of St. Paul, but he's a man who wears many hats. He's an author, historian, and a lobbyist in Richmond who's passionate about improving the lives of Southwest Virginia citizens. Before we get started, go ahead and like and subscribe to this channel, Project Southwest. All right, without any further ado, let's get to know your neighbor, Frank Kilgore. All right, hey Frank, how you doing? It's good to see you.
How are you guys doing?
I'm doing great. It's been a while since we've seen you, and it's exciting to talk to you today on Get to Know Your Neighbor. This is the first episode, and I figured it would be fitting to have you on as our first guest since you were one of the first people that I met out in Southwest Virginia when I moved back up here in late 2019. You know, it's funny how we met. You actually took me on a trip around Southwest Virginia. We were all over the place, way out there in Buchanan County and Lee and Wise and Tazewell, literally a multi-hundred-mile trip. And I think you had something to say about every single county or a story about everything out there. So I guess for those of you that don't know, Frank is an attorney based in St. Paul. And that's in Wise and Russell County, is that correct?
Yes, divided by the Clinch River.
Right. And he has a long family history in Southwest Virginia. And I just wanted to first off ask you how you became so familiar with the area and why you have such a passion for Southwest Virginia and the stories that can be told out there.
Well, I grew up in a coal mining family, and we're just on the edge of the St. Paul fault line, and so the coal is on the west side of the Clinch River and limestone on the east side due to a fault that occurred maybe 200 million years ago and over thrust block. And so there's two different cultures, just from agriculture to coal coal mining culture. We had towns just were built by coal companies, specifically to house, feed, and organize folks to work for the coal company. So that trend started in the 1890s in far Southwest Virginia, and some of the remnants of the coal camps and coal towns are still here, and several people live there, but nothing like it did in the heyday. So I've just been raised here. My dad was a coal miner, my grandfather, my uncles and cousins. So during that time I got to know the surrounding region. And then after I went to what was then Clinch Valley College, I got interested in environmental issues and went from there, starting a nonprofit group that supported the Federal Strip Mine Act, which helped me travel even more of the coalfield region. So that plus other things that I've done, I've represented different counties, school boards, board of supervisors in the area, gone to every courthouse to try cases, so got to know a lot of people and see a lot of the 7-county region.
So it's personal for you. You've got a long family history there in the region. How far back does your family go in Southwest?
The Kilgores reached what at that time was Washington County. Washington County covered all of Southwest Virginia west of Abingdon at one time. And so the Kilgores came to Washington County in 1770. That part of Washington County is now Scott County. And 5 of them fought at the Battle of Kings Mountain in 1780, which was a turning point of the Revolutionary War. And I've got maybe 15 ancestors that fought the Battle of Kings Mountain. Thomas Jefferson referred to it as the turnaround for the cause of freedom for the new United States of America.
Wow, very cool. And you're a local historian as well, and I would say you're a curator of your own museum there at your law office in St. Paul. What got you into that and collecting artifacts and that sort of thing?
Well, my mother collected a little bit. Some of my aunts and great aunts gave me little items as I was growing up. We didn't have much disposable income, so anytime somebody would give me something that harkened back to one of the family members or just in general lumber camps, coal camps, I would just save it. So I had a little start when I was a teenager, and then I got obsessed with it later on.
Is your museum open to the public normally?
Yes, it's open by appointment, and we really we like that because people can call and they can bring a whole classroom over. We can get ready for it.
What kind of things will people see when they go through there?
We have 2,000 square feet of museum, so there's a lot there. I have several different categories on display. One of them is railroad, so we have a lot of railroad lanterns, railroad steam whistles, signs, and so on. And then in coal mine, we have over 100-year-old lunch buckets, gas detectors, methane gas detectors that the safety people use, because gas would explode in the mines and burn the miners to death. We've got picks and shovels and breast-held augers. Before automation came along in the 50s, the miners would literally drill with a steel auger, drill the coal, make a hole in it, blow it out with black powder, and then hand load the coal and hand push it. So it's very, very labor intensive until automation took over in the 1950s, early 60s.
And you're also an author. You actually featured on our Blue Ridge PBS's show Right Around the Corner, and your book is called Far Southwest Virginia, A Postcard and Photographic Journey. What got you into that? And from what I was watching of that episode, you've always been collecting photographs and postcards from around that area. And did you just build such a collection that, you know, you wanted to spread it out and research different things? Or can you describe the book a little bit?
Yeah, and again, my grandfather was somewhat involved in this. His aunt, so her father-in-law was in the Civil War, so this is how elderly this lady was. When she reached the age of 99, she came to my office with her caretaker. Said, "I've got a postcard of your granddaddy in the coal mines." And I'm thinking, how would my granddaddy be in a postcard? And there he is sitting on a pile of coal inside the mines, two buddies on either side. Wow. And that got me interested. You know, he was poor. I don't know how he would be on a postcard. Back then, the photographers would go door to door and they would take a picture, a real photo, and then put it on postcards one at a time and sell them to you so you could send postcards out to your friends and family, and there's a picture of you. So I got fascinated with that and started collecting postcards and other memorabilia, but I guess I've got 3,000 postcards from Washington County West that I bought or traded for. And so we had a black and white version of that book, Kathy Shearer and I, who's another local author. And then I collected so many more, I wanted to put this book together. It's 320 pages, 1,100 images, everything from postcards, photos, script, mining script, where the coal companies would issue money tokens that were only redeemable at the company store. We've got hundreds of pieces of that. We have Native American artifacts from this region, Civil War era artifacts, anything from firearms down to swords and horse spurs. So it's quite a collection. And we have a photography corner of far Southwest Virginia. It's pictures I've taken all around, and everything from the channels, great channels of Virginia in Washington County, which is about 30-foot tall slot canyons on top of a mountain that people walk through. I've built about 50 miles of trails in this area, and I've got photos of that. And it's just beautiful here. And a lot of people in Virginia, West Virginia, a lot of them don't have any idea of the landscape, the beauty, the biodiversity. The Clinch River that divides St. Paul has the most biggest concentration of rare and endangered aquatic life in North America. So that's why the Nature Conservancy has taught us here as natives to protect the river and help promote its survival. Now there's a Clinch River State Park named after it. They have about 300 acres now. They have thousands of acres because the river for about 60 miles is going to be the connection. So you'll have land on either side for people to pull their canoes over, kayaks over, stay overnight in crude campgrounds or in hotels like we have here in St. Paul.
Clinch River State Park, is that the newest state park that did you contribute some land to that park?
Well, I sold my land. I already had 270 acres, had 8 miles of trails on it, disc golf course, and the ruins of an attempted French settlement from 1791. I gave a big discount, but I didn't give it away.
Okay.
I'll retire someday.
Yeah, from our trip, you were telling me about that, and that's is that park open to the public now? Is that official? It's Clinch River State Park, recognized by the state and everything like that?
As far as I know, it's the first time in the history of Virginia that a park piece of land was open one day and open to the public the next day. Usually it takes 3 to 5 years of planning and developing, but since it was already a private park that I opened for free to the public for 20 years, the town of St. Paul was a little uneasy that maybe the trails would be closed. They recorded, the Department of Conservation and Recreation of Virginia recorded a deed from me at 5:30 p.m. and opened the park at 8 a.m. the next morning.
Wow. Yeah, that is a quick turnaround. Basically wasn't even closed ever.
No. So, and they're buying property from my surrounding landowners and neighbors. And then all along the river, they'll have nodules of land so people can stop and enjoy it or stay overnight, whatever they want to do.
You're not just involved there in Russell and Wise County. You're all over the place. Up in Buchanan County, you helped to started on your own the pharmaceutical college there.
I represented Buchanan County as a part-time assistant county attorney, started there around 1991. And there was a move in Norton, Virginia, to put in a law school. And they had people put together to do that, but they couldn't get Wise County and Norton to help support it financially. Buchanan County had quite a bit of money left over from coal severance tax, gas severance tax. So I'm driving them to Richmond for their first ever legislative reception. Mentioned it casually. The Board of Supervisors that I was driving up there in the van made me pull over, call the promoters of the school and said they want it. And they put up $6 million. The school system gave us 2 schools that had kids in them there downtown Grundy. And make a long story short, within 14 months from the time that we told them we in Buchanan County wanted the school, in 14 months it was open.
And how long has it been open now? That's pretty impressive, by the way. 14 months. I mean, that's you get things done quickly.
Yeah, I think it's been open almost 30 years.
Oh, wow.
And then based upon that success, I was asked again by the Board of Supervisors to come up with another project like that, because people move in, they rent apartments, they have kids that go to school, and so it was a mini boom when the law school went in. So I had a little think tank get together. In about 2 hours, we decided to put a pharmacy school in because at that time there was a big shortage nationwide of pharmacists. And that was in 2003, that we decided to do it. In 2005, we opened it. And so it's a beautiful facility. We used a 1940 schoolhouse built during the Depression as our first location, and we expanded that, and it's just, both campuses are beautiful.
So you had mentioned the economic impact that those types of projects have on the region, and I know that one of your motivations for some of the projects that you take on is that you want some of the smart people, or just people in general who are hard workers and intelligent people that grow up in the region, to have the opportunity to stay and work in the region. Why is that so important?
Well, it's called the brain drain, and we've had it in Appalachian coal fields off and on many times because of the bust and boom cycles of coal mining and coal sales. Now we're at the tail end of even the coal being available because it's been mined since the 1890s, so the best coal's gone. And there's been a big cutback on steam coal for power plants. and then most of that's been taken over by gas, natural gas. But the reason I'm really pushing high-tech, mid-tech jobs in the coal fields, their kids, most of them leave. Some of them want to leave and some of them want to stay, but they don't have the jobs here to couple with their ingenuity and their test scores. I'll give you an example. West of Radford is District 7 of the Virginia Department of Education. They have a standard of learning test. We're number 1 out of 8 districts in far southwest Virginia in math, science, and reading. We beat out Northern Virginia 2 years ago and increased their lead on all the other districts this past year. So we had the kids with the spark, the DNA, and the ability. It's just impossible to keep many of them because they don't have good paying jobs here. So we've done a statewide advertising effort. Every senator and every House of Delegate member has a large poster that tells about our kids and what all they've accomplished. We have in Dixon County, which has about 15,000 people and it borders Kentucky. Their robotics team in the Consolidated High School was number 1 in the state and placed number 7 in the world competition.
Wow.
That's just one example of how good these kids are and how well they do. And they end up going to other places, being good civic leaders, good citizens, taxpayers, and other areas get them. We did an informal poll. UVA Wise, we had Clinch Valley College became the University of Virginia at Wise. That was started in the late 50s and it got UVA's name about 20 years ago. And they did a poll of the IT graduates from UVA Wise from this area. They emailed them all and said, if we had an IT job for you that's comparable to one you got, would you move back to the coal fields? And 80% of them said they would. So that's,
really?
Yes. And when you lose those folks, you lose tomorrow's leaders who are progressive and want to get things done and have the know-how and the right intentions for doing so, the right reasons for doing so. So that really hurts any economically depressed area. The bright kids leave and you lose all the things that they can do over their working lifetime. It's unbelievable how that drains any community when you lose your smartest kids. Well, the thing that's holding us back is a negative, stereotypical image of Appalachia in general and coalfield Appalachia in particular. And all we ask is have a chance to prove herself. So anybody that sees this as head of the mid to high tech industry, the land's cheap and the cost of living is like a third of it would be in Richmond. Housing would be 60-70% less than Richmond. I'm just using Richmond as an example. In Charlottesville, and they can actually hire people down here for half the price, and they'd be more dedicated employees because the culture we have is you stick with the company until you retire.
What kind of things are on the table right now, or projects that you're working on, or things that you're trying to push in Richmond right now?
Well, a few years ago, I advocated that casinos be allowed in the poorest jurisdictions in Virginia because of the model down in Cherokee, North Carolina. The Cherokee tribe went from the poorest people per capita in the state, the lowest attainment of high school graduation, the highest domestic violence rate, and that all flipped when they had a casino put in. So many more of the Cherokee children are going to college, graduating high school. Domestic violence went down because the main reasons for crime and drugs are the lack of jobs and hope. And I use that phrase just made up on the spot, by the way. And I had a senator, a local state senator here, I thought was going to hit me because he's very religious and he didn't want a casino. And we were in a room with 50 people in a think tank at the chancellor's house at UVA Wise. and he happened to be sitting beside of me, and I don't think the world of him, but I thought he was going to hit me. He said, "I'll never vote for a casino. There's nothing but, crime and drugs that come with them." And I made that statement to him. I said, "That's due to the lack of jobs and hope. What's the purest form of democracy?" And he said, "What do you mean, registered vote?" And I said, "No, a referendum. Let the people in the community vote it in or out, because you like local control, don't you?" He said, "Yes." He went from, I thought, going to attack me to sponsoring the bill. And it just passed a year ago, and in this session it had to be passed again. So Bristol, Virginia stepped up as a potential location. And we're one city referendum away of having a Hard Rock casino and a destination with about 2,000 new jobs. And so that's kind of the stuff that I've pushed. But when he said, "We were supposed to be thinking outside the box, not this crazy stuff." And I said, 32 states have casinos. I didn't just wake up this morning and come up with the idea of a casino. The casinos in Maryland are built close to Northern Virginia as they can be, and they were taking $500 million a year of revenue from Virginians.
Right, that's what I was going to say. I mean, Bristol already has some attractions, with the raceway there and birthplace of country music and all kinds of things like that, where Bristol is already a sort of destination, but just having a casino there would provide local jobs and bring in income from other areas. So that sounds like a good plan to me. Plus, I'll be hitting up the casino.
That city was on the brink of bankruptcy because of a couple of investments they made that didn't turn out. And within 5 years of the casino hitting its stride, they'll be able to pay off all their bonds.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what kind of things, come along with the casino?
Entertainment, that's the big one. We'll have headliners, country music, and you got the Bristol Raceway down there that brings in tens of thousands of people. And restaurants, high-rise hotel, the surrounding hotels will prosper greatly, create jobs that way. So the indirect jobs will be another 1,000 or so.
Yeah, support some of these smaller businesses that are around.
Yeah, working on Bristol's first Rails to Trails project. We've got a third of it done. It's going to be 12 miles long when we get done. And so there's a lot of synergy going to be down there. And Hard Rock has really big plans. If I get interested in something, I don't know what kind of OCD problem I got. But ADD and OCD. But when I get started on something, I'll go along until somebody threatens me or challenges me or calls me names, and then I dig in. And so people know that I've been practicing law for 38 years, and they know if they don't insult me, I probably won't work as hard, but if they insult me, I'm digging in, staying up all night to win that case. So it's just a competitive streak that is good and sometimes bad.
So one last thing I wanted to talk about before we leave here is, I think it's an interesting story, the elk herd in Southwest Virginia. Were you a part of getting that up and running?
Yes, I was, again, the guy that got out front on that. And what is they call it, the bleeding edge? For 10 years while I represented Buchanan County, and it's the most forested county in the state because there's not any farmland there to speak of. And so I told them about East Kentucky having thousands of elk and bringing in visitors and tourism. And they said, well, talk to Virginia. I'm sure that the Game Commission would allow us to have some elk, because some of them are wandering over from Kentucky anyway. It took us 10 years for Buchanan County to get elk in. Now the Game Commission is all about elk, but there for 10 years they fought us tooth and nail. I won't go into all the things that we tried to get them interested, but now Buchanan County is the elk capital of Virginia. And there's tour guides and all that going on now. No hunting yet. You have to have a big replaceable, sustainable herd before you have any lotteries for hunting bull elk. But they're real near the deepest gorge in the east there at the park I took took you to Breaks Interstate Park, which is partly in Kentucky and Virginia. Deepest gorge. It's got the elk capital of Virginia there nearby, and the state's tallest bridge is built there.
And we might have been one of the first 2 people to cross that bridge.
That's right. That's right. I was always scared until you dared me.
Yeah, right.
I wasn't sure the bridge was finished.
And only one side of the bridge, right? We were only allowed to go from Virginia to Kentucky, I think, and then we had to come back the other way. Yeah. That was pretty exciting.
One-way bridge.
Yeah, we were the only people out there.
Well, you made an impact down here, and thank you for showing interest in the Cofields and PBS for helping fund this great experiment. We love and appreciate PBS down here. Keep up the good work.
Well, we will. I thank you. And thank you for being on with me today. It was a first for me, a first for Project Southwest, and I think it went really well, and had a good little talk there.
Well, thank you very much.
And next time I'm out your way, I'll give you a call and stop by and say hello.
All right. I want to show you the rest of the world down here.
All right. Sounds good. We'll do another 2-day, 500-mile journey.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Frank. Take it
Bye-bye.
easy. Well, I hope you enjoyed my discussion with Frank Kilgore. He's such an interesting guy with an abundant knowledge of Southwest Virginia and endless stories to tell. Remember, go ahead and like and subscribe to this channel, and always be on the lookout for new interesting discussions on Get to Know Your Neighbor. For Project Southwest, I'm Spencer Thomason. Thanks for watching, and take care.